guys, welcome to the next episode of the Cancer Cured Me podcast. Russell Peden here again with another amazing episode with an amazing guest for you to meet today. Today, I wanted to introduce a good friend of mine, someone I've come to know and love over the last 8 or 9 years since I've gone through my cancer journey. I'll let her kind of tell the story, but we met at the Rubio Cancer Center. You guys have heard me tell my story about how I ended up at the Rubio Cancer Center and how Dr. Rubio cured me in my cancer. But I met this amazing woman and her father when I went to Rubio for my initial 7-week treatment program. And I want you to meet her. And I want her to talk about herself. I want her to talk about how she met Dr. Rubio and her amazing dad, who is just a great guy. And then ultimately a little bit more about herself and what she's doing now with the information that she's learned over these last, 10 plus years and how she's now helping other people. So please welcome to the program, to this week's episode, my good friend, Linda Blake. Linda, welcome to the Cancer Cure Me podcast.
Thank you, Russell. I like what you said about you've grown to love, because I love seeing your life unfold. Every time I see you make posts and I see you and your family and how healed you are since the day I met you many years ago. So, it always warms my heart. So I'm very honored to be here, and I'm looking forward to having a nice conversation here.
Well, fantastic. Well, again, as you point out, we've connected not only to where we both at the Rubio, and we'll talk about that in a second, but yeah, we've become friends. We're connected on social media, and I appreciate you're always commenting and liking my posts, and I'm doing the same for yours as well. We've been able to grow and live life together from afar. You're in New York, we're here in Virginia. You've watched us move to Mexico and move back and all that stuff. So Linda, again, we met at the Rubio Cancer Center in 2015. As my listeners know, I ended up at the Rubio Cancer Center on New Year's Eve, 2014. That's the day I arrived. And I spent the next 49 days at the Rubio Cancer Center, as they know. And that's where I met you and your father, David. So talk to me about Rubio and your relationship with Rubio, because that wasn't the first time you had been to the Rubio Cancer Center. So talk to me about how you met Dr. Rubio and how you found the Rubio Cancer Center.
I had a friend, Sandy, and you had the honor of meeting at the clinic. And Sandy was a naturopathic. We're both naturopaths and into holistic medicine. And we decided to go to a convention, a naturopathic doctor convention in Las Vegas. It was quite an interesting, they may still have it, I don't know, but it was all naturopathic doctors and all people who were off the grid, that were persecuted for what they did, that were making a mark. And that is where both Sandra Tuckman and I met Dr. Rubio. And shortly after that, let me just think. Shortly after that, I don't want to leave anything out, Sandy started to develop a relationship and actually go to his clinic with her cousin who had breast cancer. And she was healed for, 20 years. And then later on, Sandy got some breast cancer, but basically they formed a relationship. And then I formed a relationship in 2010 with Dr. Rubio when my dad got sick.
Gotcha.
I formed one in 2008 when my mom got sick, but unfortunately my mother got there way too late and had done a lot of things here in New York that made her cancer get worse. She was told that there was no hope for her cancer, that I was very grateful for the doctor. So basically it was my real journey with my father that I developed this friendship and medical relationship, which led me down a very special path.
So, well, thanks, Linda. Exactly. So I didn't know that your mom you had taken her down there. But again, I've mentioned before and telling my story that, I've referred dozens and dozens of folks to the Rubio Cancer, just like you have. And sometimes some people just wait too long to go, or they find out about it too late. And Dr. Rubio is not a miracle worker, right? He can't lay his hands on and, wake up, you come out of the cave. But he does everything he can to help. But again, so I've had people go down there who just waited too long. And again, he wasn't able to help them either. So I didn't even know about your mom, but I did know your father. And man, was he a stick of dynamite, man. He was a whippersnapper. Dr. Rubio talk about your dad's cancer and what Dr. Rubio did. You don't have to get into specifics, but what Dr. Rubio was able to do for him, if you don't mind.
I would like to share about this because, he is a miracle worker, Dr. Rubio.
He
He
is.
truly is a miracle worker. My father came into the clinic with I didn't expect my father to live, so I didn't go with expectations. He had terrible pain from bone cancer. He had, I'd say, 6 cancers: brain, lung, liver, pancreatic cancer. Every cancer, he had it.
Wow.
And I said to Rubio, please don't, and I've never lied to my father in my life until then. I said, please don't tell my father. He wanted to know his numbers, what number he was. And Rubio came to me and said he's a 5. We'd never told my father he was a 5 because he would have been out the door. We stayed there for 6 months straight.
Wow.
While we were there, the cancer spread to his brain. And I would say after 1 month of Rubio stem cells, my father woke me up at 12 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock a.m., and said, feed me, I'm hungry. And Dr. Rubio said, that's because of stem cells. So I'd start making him food at 12 a.m. And what happened, several months later, there was a little change and we found he had brain cancer. So Magical Rubio started to make a vaccine. What's unique about Dr. Rubio and different is besides the stem cells, he does vaccines that are specific to each cancer. So my father had brain cancer vaccine, liver cancer vaccine, kidney vaccine, cancer vaccine, brain cancer vaccine, all these cancer vaccines. And once he gave my father this brain cancer vaccine, that turned the corner for him. And my father walked out in remission and remained in remission for several years.
Wow.
And the pain from the bone cancer was relieved magically from the injections Dr. Rubio puts into the it's ozone and it's stem cells into the site. So anyone with pain from cancer or pain in general, back pain troubles, this is like a miracle. In fact, I'll share one thing about myself. I don't want to, but this one pertains to it. I had fallen and hurt my ankle very bad. I went to acupuncture, everything imaginable, nothing worked. And I was at Rubio because he was working with a condition. I had Epstein-Barr. And he says, you know what? Let me inject the ankle. Well, I'm going to tell you, ever since that injection, I never needed another one. I was able to walk, go upstairs. It was like a miracle.
Yep. Wow. You know what? And that sounds unbelievable. I know someone listening out there, they go, man, that sounds hard to believe. I mean, your dad had several different cancers. I mean, as I said, and in my previous episode, guys, I mean, this podcast is not to bash the U.S. cancer industry or, cancer doctors or oncologists. It's just to let people know, you know what? There are people out there who are winning their cancer battles, winning their cancer journeys, and they're doing it by going outside of the traditional or conventional treatments and other treatments out there. So, but, I watched your dad, and I don't know at what point he was when I was there, but I mean, I knew he was in pretty bad shape, at least in my eyes, but I was in pretty bad shape actually at the time. And, but I remember him leaving. You guys left before I did. And then I remember seeing you guys one of my follow-up visits, and your dad looked great. And I remember when he left the clinic the first time, he was walking, and I know he would always, when I was there, he's the one that encouraged me to make sure I walk every day, because he would love to go out there and take his walk every day and make sure that he kept his body moving. I mean, because how old was your dad at that time, 2015?
86.
Wow, guys. Can you believe that, guys? 86. I'm telling you, guys, he could have kicked my butt back then. And I mean, mentally, he was acute and just, he would always give me advice. He'd say, look, kid, you make sure you walk every day and listen to everything that Dr. Rubio tells you to do. And what a great guy he was. And I appreciate that. I knew he had cancer, and maybe I did know that he had brain or lung, but I just knew he was in bad shape. I didn't know that he had 6 or 7 different cancers. But you're right, Dr. Rubio, as I've mentioned, telling my story, and others who, Brooks, by the way, Linda Brooks Werkheiser, who who's my friend of 20 years, who referred me to Rubio. He had stage 4 prostate cancer. So I've talked about how Rubio, one of his kind of his secret weapon outside of stem cells is he creates a customized vaccine, as you pointed out. And it's that custom vaccine that's specifically designed to target your particular cancer cell and teach your T cells how to identify whatever particular cancer cell that he's going after. And that's really the miracle behind the Rubio treatment, is that instead of, these cancer cells just being in your body and your T cells trying to find them, now they know exactly what they're looking for. And that's why they're able to go there and attack them and destroy them. And that's why we see the amazing results that most people have after going to the Rubio Cancer Center.
And I happen to be, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I love to interrupt. I have to interrupt this point. I was there the first day Brooks was there. I was there that whole journey.
Yeah,
I happened to be at the clinic
6 weeks. Yeah, and he told me, and then we've had multiple conversations about you, Brooks, and I, and then you and I have had conversations about Brooks. In fact, I just saw him a couple of days ago. We were both in Dallas for a Legal Shield convention, and of course, he's now 10 or 11 years now, still cancer free as a result of the Rubio Cancer Center. You're gonna love. You should go back and listen to that episode. It's amazing. You're gonna love it. But Linda, enough about Rubio, Brooks, myself, and your dad. I want to talk a little bit about you, because you've gone through this with your friend Sandy, who is also super sharp and a whippersnapper. I mean, Sandy was also, she would tell you like it is. She did not hold back punches at all. But she was always, what I like about, she was always like fancy. I mean, here we are at the Rubio Cancer Center, everyone's got their sweats on, their sneakers, t-shirts, just trying to get well. And Sandy would not step out of her room at Rubio without making sure she looked like $1 million. And, but anyway, so you talked about Sandy, you talked about your dad, Brooks, myself, but you've had some stuff that you've gone through as well. Dr. Rubio's helped you. You mentioned your Epstein-Barr, the stem cells and ozone in your ankle. But so you've had your own, not necessarily cancer journey, but your own kind of health journey through your mom, through your dad, through Sandy and others that you've seen watch. So talk to me about how cancer, not necessarily cancer, but how this has all turned your life around and helped you go in a different direction, if you don't mind.
Well, we have to bless Sandra Tuckman. Sandra Tuckman
Amen.
Was amazing. She taught me everything. She was the best homeopath, holistic doctor, everything you can imagine. She was trained with the best, and she taught me a lot. If I didn't meet Sandy, I wouldn't have met Dr. Rubio. Sandy put me on my course of healing. And so basically, she's the one who got me on the journey to see that there's alternative treatments. If I didn't meet Sandy, I wouldn't have met Rubio, wouldn't have known what's out there. And I'm very grateful to her for showing me the way, because it opened up a whole window of opportunity. And what's interesting in life is that through Sandy, you change your vibration, you learn things, and then the right people come into your life that are going to teach you more, to teach you all the lessons. But on an emotional level, I would say being at the Rubio Cancer Clinic taught me a lot about love. Here we had a lot of different people from different backgrounds all together, but we all had something in common. And that common was we were at the clinic to heal and to appreciate life. And seeing people up, seeing people down, seeing people make it, seeing someone, wasn't doing right. But mostly I'd say people were really healing at the Rubio Center. I'd say his success rate is very, very high. I don't know what it is, but I've seen many people really do well if they follow the program. But I did want to share something, since we're talking about the emotional aspect. What's very important, you mentioned my father as attitude. Russell, when I met Russell, he was quiet. But one thing he did was he had books, he had faith, and he stuck the course. And Brooks was a whole nother personality. As he was having some difficulty with the treatments, I was in the treatment area where they administer the IVs. And I think Rubio had just came in to check on, and he said, "How you doing?" And he goes, "You need me to slow down?" And he goes, "No, bring it on." And wunderbar. And every time I saw him years later, wunderbar. So that attitude of you two, and I that there has to be a certain level innate in us that's going to fight it. Now,
Right.
my father, you don't know this about him, Russell. The day that he had the brain cancer that we found out, he was
Mhm.
on the floor in the room.
Mm,
I will not describe what was on the floor, but it was
mm,
scary. And I didn't know what to do. And he had a conversation with Sandy. I had Sandy put him on the phone, and I spoke to a medium friend back home. Okay. My medium friend said to me, he doesn't have forever, you know. I said, I don't care. I just want whatever time he's getting here. I'm grateful. You know, he doesn't have like 10 years. But what's most important, he said, he has to choose to stay, to
mm,
live.
mm.
And that night at dinner, Sandy was there. Not Sandy wasn't there. I'm sorry. My father and I were there. And he said, you know what? I spoke to Sandy. She says, you lost your mother 2 years ago, that I have to choose to stay. So I'm on the phone with my medium friend. Sandy's also a psychic. So my father chose to stay. And from that moment, he didn't give up and he chose to stay. And that's when we got, I think it was 6 more years with
Wow.
him, whatever it was, 5 more, whatever it was, they were good quality years. We went on vacations. He volunteered at various places. He was a volunteer, a docent. He had a good life. So the most important thing is having that will to live, that fortitude
Right.
that you're going to make it, and that you got the strength,
Yeah.
inner
Uh,
strength.
Inner strength. I agree. I couldn't agree more. People, as I've probably mentioned in the podcast, I certainly have mentioned it to many people. My wife, you, others, they said, man, you are pretty bad shape, Russ. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was perfectly fine through my entire cancer journey. I I just somehow I knew intuitively that I was going to be cured. I was going to be healed. So as far as I was concerned, I was perfectly fine. I mean, yeah, I knew I had this mass in my chest, and then I found out later after my chemo that I had these two tumors in my brain. I knew I had these foreign things in my body, but I still felt like myself. I still, when I looked in the mirror, I didn't go, "Oh, I have cancer. Oh, I am sick. Oh, I'm going to die." I just knew that I was going to beat this. I'm talking about before I even heard of Dr. Rubio, before I even heard about Brooks's cancer, obviously before I met you and your dad, I just knew that I was going to make it. So I definitely think that it's a lot of it. It might be 90% your how you think, and then 10% whatever treatment option you choose. But I certainly think it's about mindset. They say the body does whatever the mind tells it to do, and I think there's certainly some truth to that. But enough about me. I want this whole journey. I mean, obviously it started with Sandy. Sandy started teaching you about holistic medicine. You started working on this path of becoming a naturopath yourself. But I think what I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm correct, is that going through this with your mom, her passing, then your dad, and just seeing his journey, and Rubio being able to turn his life around and give him 6 or 7 more years. And then, as you said, watching other people have success and some people not have success, just as a whole. And you're not stopping. You just recently introduced me to a few days ago another amazing doctor, a guy named Dr. Bill, who's doing some other stuff that's, I mean, similar, but he's helping people in all kind of areas of their health. So this whole thing over the last 10 or 12 years, 15 years with you, maybe longer than that, I didn't do the math right, has really put you on a path of learning and wanting to help as many people as you can in this whole kind of, I don't know how to use the right word, integrative, holistic, alternative health world. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. In fact, that was another blessing in my life, that Dr. Bill came in, and it was through this lady I met randomly in a parking lot. She saw me struggling with packages, and she gave me some stem cell patches X39 to try out because my friend failed. She had on the spa. I'm also a massage therapist, and it was just interesting because she told me about Dr. Bill, and I went there, and not only did I was amazed at what he was doing, it was like being at a Rubio clinic because people are getting treatments. He's healing people. He has that love in his heart, like Dr. Rubio, that great big capacity for compassion and
Right.
knowledge, just like him. But what was more interesting is as Dr. Bill and I became acquainted and got to know each other, because he didn't know what place he wanted to have me in his facility. I have so many different talents. I do the breath work, transformational breath work. I'm a medium, different things, massage therapy practice I have, and integrative school nutrition graduate. I do health coaching. But what was interesting, he's had me, in fact, I'm missing my microbiology class right now. I'm now a student at his university. Right. So he now has made Dr. Bill a university where you can do it all online. It's fully FDA accredited, believe it or not, every accreditation you can have. And you can now work as a naturopath under the school.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other details I'll spare you without. We could do that for another podcast, but you can have a career as a naturopath now. So that's something that's been my dream. I mentioned it to the doctor because there's so many things that go involved with that kind of course that I didn't take 20 years ago because it wasn't readily available. And now it's readily available when the universe wants it. So I'm learning all these different modalities, and I'm doing it online at my own pace.
Yep. You know what? And we had a great conversation with Dr. Bill. You listened to me just a few days ago. I actually reached out to him. He and I are going to do an interview here where we're going to talk about what the work that he's doing and how this whole path that he's been on over the last 40 years is now brought him to where he is today. And he's got a real unique setup. His clinic there in New York. I mean, as you said, he's healing people left and right using FDA approved holistic. And holistic wouldn't even is almost an insult, right? I mean, it's more than holistic. I mean, there's more to it, guys. I mean, it's almost but just stay tuned for that episode. I'll let you guys know when we're going to be interviewing Dr. Bill and his incredible institute and the school that he set up. And again, you guys are going to love it. I predict that's going to be one of our most popular episodes, but it'll be coming up soon, probably the next couple of weeks. So anyway, Linda, I again, guys, I'm sitting here listening to Linda today doing our interview, and I'm trying to get her to talk about herself, and she just keeps talking about everybody else.
That's funny.
That's her heart. Funny. That's what I want you guys to see. And I mean, that's why I think God put her where she is. As you guys know, I don't believe in accidents. I believe in what's called fortuitous intersection, which means everything happens for a reason. There's a reason, not just me being cured at Rubio. It's a reason for Linda and I to meet her dad, and all the other people that I've met as a result. But I mean, as you guys can listen to for the last 20 or so minutes, Linda, she's talking about everyone except herself. And I've watched her transformation. I've seen her growth, and I've seen where she's going, and she's going to be one of the top naturopaths. People are going to be seeking her out. And maybe even some of you guys, as a result of listening to our podcast interview today. But I'm trying to get her to talk about herself and how this whole thing has benefited her. And she's talking about everybody else, which is great. I mean, I love that because it just shows you who she is. And if someone wanted to reach you, if they're in and around the New York area and they wanted to consult with you about health, or maybe even get a therapeutic massage, or just find out more about what you do, how would they reach you?
Oh, well, this is my first podcast. I'm afraid to say I've never even listened to one, but I do have a very brief website. I don't have much on it, called the Healing Room Northport. But really, I'll give you my.
No, that's fine. So can you
I don't even know huh?
Repeat the website.
I think it's Healing Room Northport. I don't even really do anything. Healing Room Northport. There's not much on it.
Northport,
I am a psychic.
Port.
Yeah, Northport.
Okay, guys. So there's one.
I will share that I'm a psychic. I'm certified from the Edgar Casey Foundation.
Okay.
I will share that. That I do readings. And if you ever come to the Northport area, I do the readings on Zoom. You'd be surprised what you can do with a reading on Zoom, because you get so much more out of it than face to face. I can't explain. It's a whole different level. But I appreciate what you said, Russell. And also my email is Blake, Blake, Nelvid, Nelvid @iCloud.com. But I'm really here, like my father, to be of service. Okay. And that's why I wasn't sharing about myself, because I'm not looking to self-promote. I just said that recently just now. But I know when you first spoke to me, you wanted to send something out to people, for people to get the knowledge that there's something out there. And I do feel that that's what this is about. I can always talk about myself and what I do in another, another episode, but I really want to get this message out today that whoever is listening, has to listen to your inner voice. If there's something that you hear today that says, maybe I should explore this, that's your intuition. That's God guiding you. That's your higher self. You need to listen and tune out the other people and say, that's weird, because only you know what's right for your soul. Your soul is what directs you. And our soul has so many life lessons to learn, good and bad. This is part of the human experience. We come here to learn good, bad, and indifferent. So I want everyone that's listening to explore. It doesn't have to be Rubio. It doesn't have to be Dr. Bill. It doesn't have to be anything we've talked about, but explore something other than traditional medicine.
Right. And on that note, guys, I couldn't have said it better myself. It's been an absolute pleasure, Linda, to talk to you today. And you and I continue to talk. We've got other stuff. I want to learn more about these stem cell patches. Obviously, I think Carol and I are going to go up and visit you in New York. Maybe even go by and see Dr. Bill and his clinic.
I was hoping for that. That's funny you said that. I'm thinking, wouldn't it be nice?
Oh yeah, I definitely. Either way, we're going to get up and see you. We don't. Carol's from Pennsylvania, so we used to get up to that area a lot, but we haven't since my mother-in-law passed away. But we plan on doing it. I've been talking to Carol a little bit about Dr. Bill and what they're doing. So looking forward to seeing you when we get up there. We'll stay in contact, obviously. But guys, thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Cancer Cure Me podcast, and our special guest today, my good friend Linda Blake. And we look forward to talking to you on the next episode. Thanks for being on. Bye, everyone.